Bitcoin is correcting and altcoins are not doing well. Yet, certain meme coins are pumping like crazy on this marketplace. Today, we're talking about PNUT. We're talking about a meme coin of a dead squirrel that is doing like crazy at this stage. I will also tell you what will be happening with the altcoins moving further. As predicted before, I told you that BTC dominance will be going higher. I told you that as well we should be seeing a correction and funding should be cooling off. I was sharing it multiple times on my X page. This is exactly what happened. And we're definitely seeing a correction currently. If even Bitcoin is not correcting much, other assets, they're correcting quite nicely in comparison to what is happening. Today, we're essentially discussing the current market situation. I will tell you what will be happening next. I would do a deeper correction. Are we going to see a deeper correction moving further? When altcoins will finally pump, and what is happening with Ethereum? Ethereum is a key question at this stage for our backs at this stage. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and let's start. Here is a chart of PNUT. I actually shorted this thing at 1.39 with a stop loss at 1.49, right? And I got liquidated for $5,000 just now, pretty much. And for some reason, I feel like from here it should be reversing now. I just feel like it should be going lower from here, but we'll see. The narrative behind this thing is essentially, this is a squirrel of a guy in the US that was killed in a raid by US authorities, and it kind of became the main character around presidential election. Right now, we definitely have Elon Musk Meta on the marketplace as well. We do have things like Doge pumping up as well, Doge on Ethereum, this one, and Doge on Solana kind of following. It did more than 10x essentially in the last 24 hours as well, because people are looking for additional ways for liquidity and people are looking for the upside essentially as well. Therefore, Ethereum version pumped and they are pumping Solana version at this stage. With PNUT, the reason it actually pumped is because there was a tweet from Elon Musk sharing at the same sentence the word PNUT and the word meme coins. That essentially he's sharing that something like reality or election was changed with a power of PNUT and a meme coin out there. And this thing pumped like crazy. And obviously another part for the pumpage is the presence of the asset on Binance. I'm honestly thinking on Binance and what's happening on Binance currently, because it seems that Binance specifically changed the strategy. Maybe it's actually connected with the CZ, the founder of Binance, going out of jail. They started to list some meme coins out there. They also listed Hippo on Sui on Binance, which kind of attracted certain liquidity on Sui, and some memes on Sui are definitely starting to wake up as well. We see something like Blob printing this pattern that I was essentially showing, that the range of assets are printing currently, right? They are pumping up. It's the only thing with Blob is that essentially the new meme coin on the marketplace. If it would be something from March or April, it will have a chart like this. So it will be dumping from here, have consolidation here, cup and handle here, and essentially this pumpage, we back to this area, we accumulated here, and we are going back higher. I think it should be actually reaching new all-time high right here, and then unfortunately stopping for quite some time out there. But the interesting thing is that Hippo on Sui was essentially launched only on Binance Perps, which means it is not available on spot on Binance. And market kind of is trying to receive the same reaction from Hippo pump out there, with essentially expectations that it should be pumping, moving further. But well, it's definitely hard to say, but we do have the cases of Popcat and we do have the cases of Bread. When they got listed on Binance Perps, they had a pump, and after that they get a dump, most likely because there were certain insiders knowing about the fact that the Perps will get launched for Popcat and for Bread, that essentially longed and that are taking profits at these level. So it's pretty straightforward, but it's kind of great because it's bringing attention back into Sui, and some things like Plop and some things like Suishi, they started to wake up a little bit as well too. So Plop is up 40% on a daily. If this thing will be breaking up here, it has like a huge movement to essentially do, and I think it should be a third wave for this meme coin out there to go essentially even higher. And Suishi on Sui, something that I hold as well. It's kind of like still dead at this stage, but it's like up 20% on an hourly, right? And chart kind of looks nice as well. So we have this accumulation, we are in this range, right? So sooner or later we should be breaking out above this range, out of this range, and we should be definitely printing a new all-time high for this asset out there. Something I also want to talk about is BTC dominance situation, because previously in my channel I was saying that there is a high chance that BTC dominance will be printing another high, And this is exactly something that we did. Like right now, the chart looks very, very similar to the chart of Bitcoin in the previous cycle. Like we reached 60K somewhere here in May, we dropped to 30K, and we are back currently to 60K. And the real question whether or not it's a double top, whether or not we will essentially be going lower from here. If BTC is not doing well at this stage, and like this thing just looks crazy. Can you see this thing? So a lot of people call the reversal for Ethereum at this stage. Even Benjamin Coven, I think the largest bull for Ethereum out there, I do think he also called the reversal for ETH BTC out there. And what it actually was is just like a fake, like kind of like an exit pump out there. It's crazy. So this chart means that Ethereum is heavily underperforming in connection to BTC at this stage. And I would say Ethereum is essentially the main thing for us to finally see some more movement between Ethereum Memecoin assets out there, and at the same time actually have some movements with altcoins, because a range of assets out there, they essentially paired to Ethereum on chain. So we would probably be forming a reversal pattern somewhere at this stage, right, at these levels. But it looks crazy if you think about that. So we definitely have like this range, because like it's a huge liquidity zone around this area right here. We essentially had like a huge trading amount, if you can essentially say so, on this chart. And last time we received a nice reaction from this level. Just maybe this is the start of the reversal, and this is essentially like a start of higher highs and higher lows, right? So this is your first low, this is your first high, and this is the higher low. So if this would be the case, we will be essentially reversing, continuing the trend from here. Unfortunately, it does not look like this currently. Kind of looks like we should be going a little bit lower, and somewhere here finally forming our reversal for Ethereum BTC pair, which would essentially send Ethereum higher. Chart of Ethereum also does not look that great at this stage, and the reason I'm showing you chart of Ethereum is because a range of Ethereum assets, they kind of printed the same type of pattern on the chart, and they also like don't look great from this point of view. So what we've seen, they reached this resistance area, and they essentially got a heavy rejection, and they get sent back. It's very, very important to see what will be happening moving further, although I don't like the structure much, because to me it kind of seems that like Bitcoin is at $90,000, and we have to understand what this movement on chart actually means psychologically. It means that people came to this area and they just decided to sell. So they were accumulating and waiting for all this time just to sell heavily in this area, right? Obviously, it's probably connected with the movement on BTC and the overall correction on the marketplace as well, but does not look really very great, just because of the reason that with this type of movement of BTC, you will essentially be waiting something better happening for Ethereum out there. But I'm talking about short-term movements out there. I'm bullish mid-term and long-term out there, right? But I'm just talking about short-term. Although some things about Dogecoin might actually bring certain caution, because Dogecoin is almost at the previous all-time high. It's crazy. And several things I wanted to talk about Binance as well. Like we've seen recently that they started to push Memecoin assets on Binance. And there was this huge narrative that Binance will only be pushing like CTO type of assets where supply is not controlled and things like that. But they just pushed Hipon Sui. Supply on Hipon Sui is heavily controlled. It's heavily controlled by the developer and founder of the project. It's crazy. So they kind of pushed a purely bundled project out there. I would say the last like heavily bundled project that they allowed to have on the platform, even only on leverage, was essentially Neuro, the Cabal Neuro out there. It happened like at the end of August or something, so it happened like 2 to 3 months ago, which is a very interesting situation if you think. So like we're definitely seeing this change of strategy right there. And I do think that the main reason for change of strategy is because we have to understand that all the pump fund revenues, all the revenues for bots like BullX, for Photon, for other things on the marketplace, they're not coming from nowhere, right? They're coming from the current market structure, current market setup, and exchanges, centralized exchanges. They are not competing with these decentralized trading volumes currently at this stage. And they can't compete because like what they will be doing, they will be developing their own bots. I would say this is something that would definitely make sense for Binance and for larger centralized exchanges to develop their own bots to essentially be on the decentralized exchanges as well, or at least buy them. I do think it's a very, very smart business decision to take this part of the market essentially as well. But what we are seeing this cycle is that a bunch of trading volume essentially left centralized exchanges like Binance, and it came to DEXs because people are trading memes. And most memes, like, they're not even like on these exchanges. And like, I doubt that these exchanges are receiving a lot of volume from these memes, because like when they launch them, yeah, they pump, so they farm this volume, but then they usually just dump, because what else do you have? What else do you have as this beacon when you are essentially running a meme coin? You have the launch online and on essentially large exchange, and then you have nothing to kind of look up to, only the increase in the overall total crypto market valuation, right? So we have a very, very distant situation, and I do believe what is happening is that centralized exchanges are not doing very, very well. They are losing the market share, and that's why Binance changed the strategy and started to launch meme coins. And that's why I'm saying that probably things in Binance are not doing very, very well currently, like are not going very, very well currently, because they are launching HIPAA, which is heavily bundled project out there, Cabal project out there. So it's like just several thoughts I wanted to share from my end regarding the current market situation, right? So something I wanted to share and talk on is also coin 6900, 2.1 million at this stage. I think nothing kind of bad is happening currently, so we are perfectly repeating the chart that we've seen before. Unfortunately, this situation did not happen, and we will talk about this currently. I will address the issue with this one. So you can kind of say that we pumped, we had the dump back into demand zone right here, and we essentially continued the pumpage. Something that happened right here as well, and I do believe that we should be seeing accumulation here and continuation of pumpage. One of the reasons of why this thing essentially have this correction is not just market reasons out there, although we're definitely going through a correction currently, and my bet with this one was essentially with the continuation of Ethereum surging up in the marketplace, and currently it seems like it should take a little bit more time, but 100%, I'm 100% sure that Wall Street should essentially catch up with the fact that they don't only have Bitcoin ETF out there, they also have Ethereum ETF, and Ethereum essentially should be pumping like crazy, because the only one reason BTC is at the levels as it is currently is essentially the presence of Ethereum, is essentially the presence of Bitcoin ETF. And something I wanted to share currently as a word of caution, this is essentially the chart of the price movement of BTC in comparison to the previous cycles. It's very interesting that this cycle we had the same type of weird behavior with BTC going higher too soon before the election, if you can actually remember that, which was essentially happening somewhere here. I think this is the high, but obviously at that time we were higher in comparison to the trend lines of BTC of all the previous cycles. And if you remember, there was a bunch of talk about, oh, this is probably a left translated cycle, we probably will be ending the cycle too soon and things like that. And as a result of this thing, we essentially were sent back heavily. We were essentially sent back with a huge 8 months consolidation that no one's seen before, and the main reason for this consolidation was obviously the test of the new market structure of the market makers and manipulators out there, because of the reason that they never experienced the influence of BTC ETF and influence from the ETF, and that's why they had to control the market out there and kind of understand the new setup better. And I do believe that current pump, it's largely pushed by Trump and by essentially Trump winning and Elon Musk being closer to the government in the US as well. But the real question, will this pump actually sustain? You can argue that we are kind of seeing a lot of top signals, like local top signals, in comparison to the situation that's happening out there. At the same time, we kind of reached the main goal of $90,000. So like, I'm seeing that we should be going into sideways price action, like somewhere actually till the end of the month. An interesting situation is that I'm not seeing that in this sideways price action, a lot of liquidity should be coming back into Ethereum. I don't think that something like this will be happening. I would say that we should be seeing sideways price action. Memes probably will continue doing well, right? And then we should see continuation somewhere to $110,000. This is essentially the target that I'm seeing. And probably around this level and through this pump as well, we finally will be seeing a proper reversal in terms of BTC dominance, proper Ethereum pumpage, and all the good stuff happening out there. This is the situation I'm seeing, because definitely 100% at this stage, we are going a little bit higher and we are a little bit not in the levels in comparison to the previous cycles movements as well. But again, we do have BTC-ETF, which is a factor that we did not have in the previous cycles. Coming back to our coin situation, so crazy narrative, by far the best narrative on base chain, and essentially this narrative, that like the beauty of this narrative is the fact that it only did have the option to appear on this chain. No other chains essentially did have an option to have this type of narrative, right? The reason I do believe for the correction for coin is also the presence of this Coinbase 50 index, which was created on the news of Brian, the guy from Coinbase, sharing that they are launching Coin 50 index, which will have like top 50 altcoins. It won't have memecoins, which is a very, very interesting thing. And people will kind of be able to buy into this index from the Coinbase application. So it's kind of like the simple exposure to the crypto market out there, because simple exposure for outside people to crypto market out there is just the coin stock. And if they want to go a little bit more risk on and really kind of have more connection to crypto, they're not buying coin stock, they're essentially buying Coin 50, which is all these like index of the index of essentially the things that are happening. So with this thing, the developer of this thing is a rugger. So he's essentially launched this thing from a wallet where he was deploying a rug before. This is one thing. Other thing, I think it just should be going to zero, because it just created, like it was created from the tweet. I think it should be going nowhere, to be honest with you. And with coin, we essentially have some bullish things in the pipeline. I do think the team is preparing something at this stage, and I do think that they should be presenting it in the short term as well. Partially, I was thinking that the reason for PvP often in the marketplace is weakness that some people in the marketplace can see from the teams or people around certain project, right? And in some cases, it might actually be the fact that they would want to launch something with like fully sniped supply and things like that, heavily bundled, and just push this thing. But Coin 50 was created based on the tweet out there, and yeah, like even if you would check out the website, it just shit, like it's just crazy out there. So no work was done, and it seems like there is no work in the process as well. And like people are throwing the money into this. Like imagine what is the, like instead of buying proper project and just holding, they're throwing the money into this website. Like this is just crazy from my point of view. Well, kind of the current situation with this small PvP gave another entry point for all these people that used the FOMO to buy into Coin 50. So some of them actually probably are taking the profits from Coin 50 and buying the Coin 6900 out there. So I do think that this one should be moving further in the market and continue doing quite well. Coming back to our PNUT situation, we definitely do have to talk about the upside that might be left on this thing. So personally, I don't believe that there is a lot of upside left. The upside on this thing will be left and is present at this stage if this thing will be heavily adopted as a Dogecoin out there. Kind of you can say that bull case already played out, because it's already on Binance, which was one bull case that sent it from like 500 million to 1 billion right away, right here. This is this movement. And second movement that played out was another tweet from Elon, right? So it's up to Elon at this stage. If obviously he would continue to talk about this thing, it might essentially survive for quite some time as well. I do believe that the reason it was able to reach this type of market caps in comparison for Mudank, in comparison to Mudank, for example, not reaching this type of marketplace is obviously because we have Elon in the picture, and it's kind of was connected to election as well. And I think like arguably PNUT actually influenced the results of the election. I think it was like a nice cherry on top, because it definitely pushed certain people at the end of the election to vote Trump, just because of the fact that Squirrel got killed. So it's like when people are trying to get other people to do something, they can be playing out on the spectrum of emotions that all these different people had, right? And Trump and Elon, they were definitely not addressing like this particular emotion of justice for like animal that can do nothing, for a pet. And I think this was like just a present from God. Like it was really a very, very nice event that helped them to touch into this emotion as well. And like arguably you might actually say that PNUT won in the US election for Trump, which is very interesting. It definitely shifted like a range of people that were still thinking at the end of the like closer to the end of the election out there. So upside here might be quite limited. We do have the obvious better play out there, which is called Fred, which is another squirrel out there. This is essentially the second squirrel of the owner. I think this thing is pumping with a narrative that it might actually get listed on Binance out there, and you have to understand currently that the situation changed right now with meme coins, that memes are pumping in expectation that they actually might get listed on Binance eventually, right? But I don't think things are going well for Binance. Like, it's listing bundled cable launches on Sui, like HIPAA. I think meme coins will be listed on Binance until Binance will essentially crash, right? So this is something I'm thinking, but I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just saying these things. Maybe they will happen, maybe not, and if they will be happening, it will probably take several months from now. So currently the party is still going on, and we have to understand that coins out there currently are being pushed and are going up in expectations that they might be the ones that will essentially eventually be listed on Binance. So we have Fred as the better play for PNUT out there. Will it go higher? Will liquidity from PNUT, once PNUT will start to correct, come to Fred? Well, as mentioned previously I was saying that liquidity from alpha plays, when they start to correct, is not going to better plays because of the efficiency on the marketplace currently. Rather, they're just running in parallel. Although that might have changed because Coinbase application is at, like, I think top 20, top 30 in the App Store at this stage, which means that we have quite a few of retail players currently in the marketplace, and we definitely see that they're kind of liking this cycle, right? So no one is buying like altcoins, no one is researching on utility. I even saw an opinion on Twitter that, like, last cycle was reading white paper, understanding the utility and finding the edge in the utility out there. This cycle is essentially betting on social matters and making money this way. And like, it's way easier currently because people are just buying into social matters on Solana, social meme coins out there, which definitely quite interesting if you would essentially think about it. And probably, like, I definitely did not make a lot of money because I'm thinking of myself as too smart. Like, I'm just mid-curving a lot of things out there. But I think a real smartness, a real thing about being smart and being wise out there is essentially understand that you need to be fucking stupid. That you need to just buy, you need to just believe, like, hey, yeah, it's going down, it's going to billions and things like that. So for example, I've seen this thing at $50 million this morning, and PNUT was maybe like 1.2 billion. And I thought to myself, nah, it's not going higher, like 100%, like no chance. And in comparison, if I would be just a stupid piece of shit, I would just buy here. I would probably take my initials here, and I would have a free bag of Fred already, and I would just not care at that stage, right? So, like, being smart, it's not like being smart, because being smart is really like right current things. So understand that you need to behave like stupid. And like, being smart and mid-curving, I want to say like it's smart in this market, right? At the same time, I wanted to share something very, very interesting with you. I wanted to share how important it actually is. It will probably be last topic. I know I'm jumping from topics to topics, but this is just like too much to cover, and I want to provide you with the full overview. So I hope you appreciate this. Press the like button and share the videos with your friends, with your aunt who's buying these meme coins currently. So I actually wanted to share something with you. This is Shrub. This is Elon Musk pet at this stage, hedgehog, right? I do kind of think like it's hard to say things about Elon Musk meta at this stage, because to be honest, it feels like Elon Musk meta kind of topped or is topping at this stage, or it will just continue to infinity, right? Because the main narrative that people are using is that Elon Musk is in office kind of currently anyway, so we'll have a bunch of news happening around him, and this is just like the safest beacon out there in terms of the investment for your money out there. So I want to share something with Shrub. Shrub definitely was revived by certain cabal out there that bought the whole thing at the bottoms, and I would say that partially it was quite hard to predict before, because cabal is specifically buying altcoins that are essentially not doing anything, right? And I wanted to review this week. So for example, like, I just increased the chart heavily so we can see this week from like exact bottoms from 37,000 market cap to 136,000. What I've done, I actually downloaded the transactions that were happening through this week just to check out what the wallets, what the guys that were buying Shrub at this level, what they've done with the Shrub, were they able to hold, or maybe they sold everything for $700 out there. So what we will be doing, we'll essentially use Zerion, which is essentially our free tool out there, and we will scan the wallets. We'll go into history. We will type Shrub here as well, and we will see what will be happening here, right? So this guy essentially sent his Shrub somewhere, a very, very low amount. So we will move to the guy number 2. It's very, very interesting what happened to these people and what happened to their holdings of Shrub out there and how they are essentially feeling currently. So we see that the guy received some Shrub out there and he sold it on 20th of October, which is essentially one day before this week. The amount of Shrub that he sold is around 0.06. The amount of Shrub that he sold is $35. At this stage, this is around $70,000 or $80,000. He just had to wait for 3 weeks in order to be able to capitalize on it. And it's not like he needed these $30. It's a $50,000 wallet. He didn't need these $30 in the first place. This guy, for example, bought 4.2% of the supply of Shrub at $2,000, $2,600. Do you know how much money these 4.2% of Shrub is currently? These are $4 million at this stage. $4 million that this guy essentially sold on 21st of October, somewhere in this week. This is the amount, is $4.2 million at this stage. Arguably, you might say that if the holder like this would be present in the coin, then Cabal probably would not be joining. But imagine, like, if he would just have waited for 1.5 week more, he'd probably understand that he'll probably see the pump, and there's a larger chance that he will still at least lift a moon back. And one more time, this is $150,000 wallet. It's not like this guy actually needed 1 Ethereum. He was exactly right with the meta of Elon Musk. He was exactly right with the meta of animals. He did not make $4.2 million because he sold 1.5 weeks before. This is essentially a $500,000 wallet at this stage. What happened with this one? He bought 13 million Shrub, which is essentially $1.3 million at this stage. He sold it just right away. Like, it's almost like some volume bought or something. So he bought it and he right away essentially sold it, which is crazy if you think about that. Maybe it was like the action by the Cabal to get people out or something. And like all these wallets, they are rich wallets, like in comparison to the average participants to the average participant on this marketplace. This is this is just crazy. So this guy, I do believe he traded this a little bit better. We can check out his transactions and what was happening. He bought $4,000 worth of $5,000 worth of Shrub, which is around $1.7 million at this stage. He bought the supply for $5K and he sold in $1.5K profit a week later. So I believe he sold at the start of this pump, right? So he did not believe essentially in the thing that was happening. Again, they were right with everything happening. They were not able to hold. And like this list is just random list of people who are transacting with this coin from 20th of October till 22nd of October, a random list. And something I've seen here, like it drastically, actually, it excited me drastically because I'm seeing that like people know how to buy, definitely. All these guys, they were actually correct with this narrative. The thing that happened is that they were not able to hold, and most money are actually being made in holding. I am in multiple charts where PNUT was called at less than $1 million market cap. Somewhere it was called at 2, somewhere essentially it was called at 3. How many people do you actually think were able to hold this? Maybe 1 out of 100. Most people actually did not hold till this time, which is crazy if you would think about that. Number one skill to actually make money in this market is to know how to hold. This guy, he bought 5 million. This is 0.5% of supply. His $500 at this stage are around $600,000. Like, and I can go through the whole list here, and like these are not very, very poor wallets. Previous guy had $15,000 on the wallet. Did he need $500 that he sold? I don't think so. This guy sold at a loss, 2.4 million of Shrub. Right now, it's essentially about $250,000 for his $200 out there. Like, this is crazy. Imagine, like, I'm trying to heal this part from you as well, that, oh, I missed this trade, oh, like, I wasn't able to hold and things like that. All you need to have in this market is conviction to hold. Conviction is the most valuable thing on the market. It actually costs the most. out there. This guy bought also for $500. He bought 0.5 of Shrap, 5 million out there. He sold at a loss of $200. This is a 15K wallet. Does he need this $500? I don't think so. This currently is 500,000 as well. 500,000 fumbled, just sold. This person did these actions himself. Crazy if you think about that. These guys were like, for some reason they were all buying, and they all sold at essentially, like, he sold 1% of Shrap at $600 loss. Right now it's 1.1 million. $1.1 million from $1,000 invested. And this happened on 21st. So he pretty much just had to wait a little bit more than a week. Probably at that stage he would have a little bit more conviction in terms of holding this thing. So this wallet I can understand because it's only $300 left here. And the guy bought 1.2% of Shrap, which is $1.2 million out there. Imagine like how one decision actually changing the whole picture for yourself and for your portfolio in this industry out there. This is just crazy. Like, arguably you might say that this thing won't be pumping this much because all of these people would not be living out of this project, right? But at the same time, they will probably be selling in the uptrend to book some profits, right? This is $1.3 million, almost $1.3 million at this stage, that he bought for $1,300. He sold at a loss of $600. He decided to exit. And the interesting thing is that in 95% of cases, this strategy would essentially work and save all of these people capital. But it's just that it was the meta of Elon. And like, it's crazy. Like, just seeing these stories on chain and just showing this to you, this is just crazy. You might say here the guy just bought $2 million. The guy just bought 2 million worth of supply for $266. He sold at a loss as well. He sold at 50% loss. Right now, this is around $220,000 that he would be able to make from $266 initials out there. This is just crazy. This is just crazy to think about that. This wallet is rich. Did this wallet actually need to sell his Shrap out there? He bought 1% for 1.3K. 1%. This thing is $1 million currently. This wallet has $188,000. Did this wallet actually need to sell to save $700? It's just crazy out there. It's like you cannot even fathom. You cannot even imagine how these people might actually feel. It's crazy. Well, it's great that they have the option to essentially experience something like this, and it will probably mean that there is a better chance they would be able to find something like this. So this guy traded this thing a little bit better. He actually bought a 0.3, so he bought 3 million for $260, and he made like 7-8K. At this stage, he would be making $330,000. Yet he made essentially 8K and he exited. This is this issue of essentially exiting out of the position currently. Like, smarter people in the marketplace, what are they doing? They're essentially playing with the lower amount of capital. They're entering it with each and every play, like something that is essentially pumping. They're just taking initials out and they just rinse and repeat. And eventually at the end of the cycle, they will have, or at the time that they would essentially want to sell, they would have a bunch of bags out there, or like smaller bags in different projects out there, right? And their initials, it may be like 10K, 15K, 20K. So they take the initials out, they forget about projects completely, they just hold. And this thing can multiply like crazy. Imagine someone actually did this with PNUT or something. So obviously, these cases, they're very, very rare. But I'm just saying that, yeah, like, this narrative was kind of crazy if you think about that. So you would probably want to be positioned to something like this. But one more time, like, something like this will be playing out maybe once in 100 coins, and probably it's like plus EV. Well, it's hard to say currently. Probably it's better to actually just kind of take your losses and sell. But man, like, it's also hard. So this guy bought 1.2% of supply at $800, which he sold. Right now, this is $1.3 million. It's crazy. And this wallet is also rich, so it's 270K. Like, he did not have a need to sell and to take out $700. He did not have to do it. Same thing, 260 bought, 250 sold. So he sold just because of the $10 negative the next day out there. This wallet, you can kind of like understand this, but this thing is around $400,000 at this stage. $400,000 that he bought for 266 bucks, and he essentially sold. Like, this is just crazy. Let's check out with this one, $22,000. So this guy essentially played it better. This is probably one of these people, and one more time, I'm sharing all of the transactions to you that happened, all of the wallets that were transacting with Schwab from 20th of October till 22nd of October. This guy bought 2 million worth of Schwab for 130 bucks. And this guy is smart because he re-entered. He re-entered on the 2nd of November, and he re-entered on a larger supply. He actually bought 0.5% of the supply, which is 500K. And then he started to sell. Well, I'm sorry. He started to sell. Then he started to buy back. Then he started to sell again. Then he bought back. And then he essentially sold, and then he bought back. So it's hard to understand what was happening, but it's way easier to understand here what was essentially happening. So in overall, he bought 13K and he sold 70K. So he's 50K in profits, right? And he has 10K left as well, unrealized. If he would just held his 0.5%, he would be $530,000 in profits that he bought for 200 bucks. He would be $530,000 in profits. This is something I told you, that we are very, very close to the time where investors will start to outperform the traders heavily, and traders are getting wrecked already. And it's very, very hard for people to change, even for myself. For me, it's hard to change to behave like way more stupid as I'm usually behaving in the marketplace. And this is actually smart in this scenario. So you might think that I'm stupid, that I can't change currently. And for these guys, the option, the thing that they actually need to do is to essentially remove this part where they want to exit the positions with good narratives out there. So these guys essentially sold for 2x on 200 bucks. This wallet is poor, and this wallet, like, it only has these 500 bucks at this stage, right? Yeah, so the same 500 bucks, but he had 0.8%. It's $850,000. Like, I do think that this guy is going through some tough times currently, because this wallet, like, is not rich at this stage. And if he just held, he would have $800,000 at this stage. So I don't want to provide any arguments, any final words about this part. Just wanted you to see this. It's crazy. It's crazy what this industry does to people. And worst thing is that, like, your feeling of essentially making money and making it in the real world, it's like it totally crashes, because it's pretty fucking hard in comparison to the default work, and depending on the country of the person, to be able to make $800,000 in 3 weeks, right? And kind of like all your default work actually stops making sense. So this industry kind of fucks you up, but kind of have to treat this as well as a lottery winning from time to time, because when these guys, like, something that like this happened with these guys, it can be happening in the uptrend of the market in new metas. Although arguably I would say there are definitely some people out there that experience this quite often. Maybe they're just playing it better. Maybe they just buy a lot of things out there with nice narratives, and they just hold like the whole thing, and like 20 coins they're going to zero and one thing just pumping. Or they have some insights, and maybe they just buy one coin a month, but they really have good insights, good alpha. They check out the wallets, they like the narrative, and they're sure that this thing will essentially run, and they're just making money out there this way. So a very interesting thing that I wanted to share. Thank you very much for watching this video. Stay healthy and rich, and I will be seeing you tomorrow. Bye bye.